Hey guys, what's up? It's finally time to do a ranking of the Growlancer series from worst to best, all 6 of them. But I'll also be doing a where to start in the series and also be including the ranking of shortest to longest and easiest to hardest. All in one, that's right, this is the definitive video of the Growlancer series. So let's begin! Starting off with Growlancer 2, The Sense of Justice. The worst Growlancer game ever is the second one, but it's still extremely good and highly recommended. This one is a direct sequel to the first one, which brings back a couple of characters from it, including the protagonist Carmine, but it also has its own MC and original characters, such as this fanboy here named Wayne Cruz, trying to become a knight of the Bernstein Kingdom. It takes place shortly after the events of the first game. It's surprisingly short, beatable in 20 hours or less if you focus on the main story alone, making it the shortest Growlancer in the series. Just like all of the others, it has multiple routes and endings, which include specific character endings based on which one you bonded with the most. However, this is the only Growlancer in the series where you don't move around through an overworld in the traditional sense. Instead, you do so by a menu in this world map when going from point A to point B. That is the first significant difference between this and the rest of the series. The second one is that it has the only protagonist that talks, while all of the others have a silent one. And the third one is that you have a party of up to 8 characters, once you've recruited them all of course, per battle. You think this will make the game longer, but nope, there aren't really that many missions in this game. And you'd also think that this will make the game easier, right? Again, nope, it's actually one of the hardest. I'd say it's the second hardest in the franchise, though its difficulty may have been ramped up by Working Designs, which was known for doing precisely that for many of their localizations. This is not a good game to start within the series, in my opinion. First, because it's quite challenging, and second, because it spoils a lot of things of the first game. Next up is Growlancer. This is the very first of the series, and as of the making of this video, the PS1 original version is the only one that has been fan-translated. You play as Carmine in a quest to solve the mysteries of the Growsian race and stop an ancient evil from orchestrating a continental war. Gameplay is traditional with town-to-town exploration and a bunch of interconnecting areas. A party of up to 5 allies can be controlled in battle. Ironically, this is the longest Growlancer game ever made. A bit over 50 hours of playtime if you focus on the main story alone, which was insane for a low-budget game on the PlayStation 1. It's still an excellent RPG, but it's the second worst Growlancer because 1. It definitely overstays its welcome, it does feel quite slow at the beginning and drags a lot near the end, and 2. All the games can be cryptic and a guide is required to check every now and then to know what to do or where to go. But in this one, it might be the most cryptic of them all, and it can be frustrating to check a guide so damn often. Other than that though, like I said, this is an incredible RPG, almost a masterpiece. Surprisingly, I found it to be one of the easiest in the series, if not the easiest actually. It's very balanced as opposed to the several nasty spikes all of the others have to offer. It's a good game to start in the series because of that, but also because it's the first one. Just remember, it's stupidly long and cryptic, so it might not be the best one to begin with. Moving on to Growlancer 3, The Dual Darkness. This is actually the prequel to the previous 2 games. A lot of things happen in the past story-wise, which only left players intrigued back then as to why the world and setting of both turned out that way. So the developer Careersoft decided to create an entire story prequel focusing on the events that led to the first 2 games. You do so by playing with an amnesiac and silent protagonist with a dark and sinister past. This game was localized in a bundle on the PS2 called Growlancer Generations alongside the second game by Working Designs, so both include very cheesy and kinda bad voice English dub and a questionable translation. Again, it's quite hard and it might be because of working designs, but I found the second game to be harder. From this point onward, all Growlancer games have a party of only 4 active members to control. The rest is the same as in town-to-town exploration, areas connecting each town, ruin or dungeon, except this is the only game in the series where enemies are only visible in the dungeons. In the interconnecting areas, there are random encounters. This is beatable between 30 and 40 hours, depending on what you do and how you play. It's also an excellent video game despite its several nasty difficulty spikes. If you want to start in the series in chronological order, then obviously this is the best game to begin with, but I'd still recommend the first one over this one for beginners into the franchise. Next is Growlancer 4, Wayfarer of Time. Originally released on the PS2 but only in Japan. The PSP remaster though, which is the best version of it to play, was localized this time around by Atlus themselves, which still holds the IP nowadays. It is perhaps the most popular in the series and the one most people will think of as the best. However, there are 2 things to notice here. First, this isn't connected at all to the original trilogy. It's a standalone title with no prequels or sequels whatsoever. And second, it's the hardest in the series. Insanely difficult with some of the nastiest spikes I've seen in a strategy RPG, all because of the really tricky mission objectives and design. But it's still incredibly addicting, one of those that make you want to get good or grind till you beat the mission. Gameplay is just as traditional as the others, also with eventually your own base of operations town, bonding system, multiple routes and endings, etc. No random encounters anymore. Thankfully, you can see the enemies around just like you did in the first game. Battle system is just like in the others, once again with up to 4 allies during combat or exploration. The length is about the same as in 3, between 30 and 40 hours depending on your playstyle, because it is a self-contained game. With no relationship with the others, you might think it's a good idea to start with it. But since it's by far the hardest of them all, I will never recommend it to beginners, unless you wanna get in the hard way. Coming up, Growlancer 6, Precarious World. This is the 6th and final title in the series before Atlus cancelled it. Released exclusively on the PS2 only in Japan. A fan translation was released about a year ago though, which is how I played it. The game follows yet another silent and amnesiac protagonist joining an organization to fight terrorism. It takes place in another continent with other characters, but still within the same universe as the 5th game. In fact, eventually you'll see the other characters and the protagonist of it will join your party. As a result, it is indispensable to play Growlancer 5 before this one. As you've been seeing, the graphics are a bit different as opposed to the previous 4 titles, with larger sprites, character models, and while the gameplay is just as traditional like in most of the others, with up to 4 active party members, combat is also slightly different. In a sense, it's the same real-time strategy, but now you can just freely move around the battlefield and attack whoever you wish as in an action RPG. In other words, it's a hybrid, and a really damn good one. Masterpiece here, and an incredible follow-up. I'm sad that the series died too soon, but this was honestly a great way to end it. The game's a bit longer than usual, with easily over 40 hours of main story alone. It's balanced, but it has a bunch of really hardcore missions. Obviously, this is not a good place to start, because it's a direct sequel to 5, and also because it's just harder than it. And number 1, Growlancer 5, Heritage of War. It's funny how the original name of this game is Growlancer Generations, but because working designs called the package of 2 and 3 like that, Atlus changed the name for its localization in North America to Heritage of War. Anyway, this is another PS2 exclusive, but it's still available digital on the PS3. Most of you already know this is my favorite in the series and the best of them all. The cool new feature about this is that you'll experience 4 different short prologues, each with its own characters, missions and backstory, before you actually get to your amnesiac silent protagonist, so the main story can start. And it's basically about a giant weapon controlling the war in the continent and a bunch of alien-like creatures attacking it constantly. The plot and setting are self-contained, completely unrelated to the previous 4 games, obviously only connected to its sequel. However, the gameplay is identical as before, traditional and all that jazz, but like I explained during the Growlancer 6 segment, the combat changed to a hybrid between strategy and action. The difference isn't that much though, since you do still give orders to everyone through a menu whenever a mission starts, but you can set everyone to auto-battle for the regular encounters in the world map, just like in its sequel. This game is a bit long, also easily above the 40-hour mark, probably about 50 hours of playtime. It's one of the most balanced in the series, with only a few spikes here and there, so overall, this is the best Growlancer game to start in the series. It's not that long, it's balanced, it's easy to understand and get into, it's self-contained, and well, it is the best one in the entire franchise. Alright, so here is the list of the series ranked from easiest to hardest, with Wayfarer of Time, also known as Growlancer 4, being number 1. And this is the one from shortest to longest, with the first game being number 1. I hope you found this video interesting and useful, and I also hope you'll get into Growlancer since it's an amazing and criminally underrated franchise. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!